Hi guys, welcome back to Storytime with Mommy. We haven't done one of these in a while.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
About a year, you guys. We're very sorry.
Sorry about that.
So, I don't know about you guys, but it was in the negative degrees here in the Midwest last week, and so we're looking forward to our heat wave this week, 30 degrees. And so the story we chose today is
Make Way for Ducklings by Robert McCloskey.
Robert McCloskey. And just in time, it's almost time to change those clocks forward to spring ahead. This is going to be a very cute story about some ducklings during springtime. And this story was first written in 1941. If you have a copy, go ahead and grab it and come along and read with us.
We brought one of our friends with us. His name's Quackers.
Quackers. And where did Quackers come from?
The Peabody Hotel in Memphis.
In Memphis. We went there last year in the summer. Be right back. Awarded the Caldecott Medal as the most distinguished American picture book for children in the year of its publication. Make Way for Ducklings. Mr. and Mrs. Mallard were looking for a place to live, but every time Mr. Mallard saw what looked like a nice place, Mrs. Mallard said it was no good. There were sure to be foxes in the woods or turtles in the water, and she was not going to raise a family where there might be foxes or turtles. So they flew on and on.
Hey, that's mean. We like turtles.
We love turtles here at Marabella TV, but in this case, turtles that live in ponds and lakes are not kind to little baby ducklings.
Yeah.
When they got to Boston, they felt too tired to fly any further. There was a nice pond in the public garden with a little island on it. The very place to spend the night, quacked Mr. Mallard. So down they flapped. Next morning, they fished for their breakfast in the mud at the bottom of the pond, but they didn't find much. Just as they were getting ready to start on their way, a strange, enormous bird came by. It was pushing a boat full of people, and there was a man sitting on its back. "Good morning," quacked Mr. Mallard, being polite. The big bird was too proud to answer, but the people on the boat threw peanuts into the water. So the Mallards followed them all round the pond and got another breakfast better than the first. "This place," said Mrs. Mallard as they climbed out on the bank and waddled along. "Why don't we build a nest and raise our ducklings right in this pond? There are no foxes and no turtles, and the people feed us peanuts. What could be better?" "Good," said Mr. Mallard, delighted that at last Mrs. Mallard had found a place that suited her. "But, look out!" squawked Mrs. Mallard, all of a dither. "You'll get run over!" And when she got her breath, she added, "This is no place for babies with all those horrid things rushing about. We'll have to look somewhere else." Weep! What happened?
A bicycle.
Uh-oh. Looks like he's in a rush. So they flew over Beacon Hill and round the State House, but there was no place there. They looked in Louisburg Square, but there was no water to swim in. Then they flew over the Charles River. "This is better," quacked Mr. Mallard. "That island looks like a nice quiet place, and it's only a little way from the public garden." "Yes," said Mrs. Mallard, remembering the peanuts. "That looks like just the right place to hatch ducklings." So they chose a cozy spot among the bushes near the water and settled down to build their nest. And only just in time, for now, they were beginning to molt. All their old wing feathers started to drop out, and they would not be able to fly again until the new ones grew in. But of course they could swim, and one day they swam over to the park on the riverbank, and there they met a policeman called Michael. Michael fed them peanuts, and after that, the mallards called on Michael every day.
Aw, that's cute.
After Mrs. Mallard had laid 8 eggs in the nest, she couldn't go to visit Michael anymore because she had to sit on the eggs to keep them warm. She moved off the nest only to get a drink of water or to have her lunch or to count the eggs and make sure they were all there. One day the ducklings hatched out. First came Jack, then Cack, then Lack, then Mack, and Knack, and Whack, and Pack, and Quack. Mr. and Mrs. Mallard were bursting with pride. It was a great responsibility taking care of so many ducklings, and it kept them very busy. Marabella, what did you notice about the names that Mr. and Mrs. Mallard?
It all rhymes.
They all rhyme, and do you notice the pattern?
Jack, Cack, Lack, Mack, Knack, Whack, and Pack, Quack.
And do you see this? If you do your ABCs, boys and girls, ready? J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Pretty clever, Mr. and Mrs. Mallard. One day, Mr. Mallard decided he'd like to take a trip to see what the rest of the river was like further on. So off he set. "I'll meet you in a week in the public garden," he quacked over his shoulder. "Take good care of the ducklings." "Don't you worry," said Mrs. Mallard. "I know all about bringing up children." And she did. She taught them how to swim and dive. She taught them to walk in a line, to come when they were called, and to keep a safe distance from bikes and scooters and other things with wheels. Look at the little stinker on the end.
He's like, "No, help me! I need to run! I was looking at some peanuts over there."
I have to catch up. When at last she felt perfectly satisfied with them, she said one morning, "Come along, children, follow me." Before you could wink an eyelash, Jack, Cack, Lack, Mack, Knack, Whack, Pack, and Quack fell into line, just as they had been taught. Mrs. Mallard led the way into the water, and they swam behind her to the opposite bank. There they waded ashore and waddled along till they came to the highway. Uh-oh, what do you think's gonna happen, boys and girls? They're heading towards the highway. Mrs. Mallard stepped out to cross the road. Honk, honk, went the horns on the speeding cars. Quack, went Mrs. Mallard as she tumbled back again. Quack, 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 went Jack, Cack, Lack, Mack, Knack, Whack, Pack, and Quack, just as loud as their little quackers could quack. The cars kept speeding by and honking, and Mrs. Mallard and the ducklings kept right on quack, quack, quacking. Look at those little stinkers. They're learning just like their mommy. They're learning from their mommy. They made such a noise that Michael came running, waving his arms and blowing his whistle. Tweet, tweet. Quack, 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 honk. He planted himself in the center of the road, raised one hand to stop the traffic, and then beckoned with the other, the way policemen do for Mrs. Mallard to cross over. She looks very pleased, doesn't she? Mm-hmm. And look at the people in the car. They're like, oh my.
Oh, this guy,
the little stinker on the end.
on the end is still running for his life.
He called Clancy at headquarters and said, "There's a family of ducks walking down the street." Clancy said, "Family of what?" "Ducks," yelled Michael. "Send a police car, quick." Meanwhile, Mrs. Mallard had reached the corner bookshop and turned onto Charles Street with Jack, Cack, Lack, Mack, Knack, Quack, Whack, Pack, and Quack, all marching in line behind her. Look at that little stinker on the end. He's saying, wait up.
Again, still, he's running for his life.
Everyone stared. An old lady from Beacon Hill said, isn't it amazing? And the man who swept the street said, well now, ain't that nice? And when Mrs. Mallard heard them, she was so proud, she tipped her nose in the air and walked along with an extra swing in her waddle.
Aww.
Look how proud she is. And there's that quack on the end.
Running for his life.
When they came to the corner of Beacon Street, there was the police car with 4 policemen that Clancy had sent from headquarters. The policemen held back the traffic so Mrs. Mallard and the Ducklings could march across the street.
And still, that one at the end is running for his life.
He's just a couple steps behind. Right on into the public garden.
And he's running for his life, tiptoeing above the curb. That one's a little stinker.
Inside the gate, they all turned around to say thank you to the policemen. The policemen smiled and waved goodbye.
I think Quack is the one at the end.
Yeah. When they reached the pond and swam across to the little island, there was Mr. Mallard waiting for them, just as he promised.
And there again, he's running for his life.
He's trying to catch up.
He's like, wait for me!
The Ducklings liked the new island so much that they decided to live there. All day long they follow the swan boats and eat peanuts.
Aww.
Do you think they're enjoying their little happy home?
Yes, and the
Yes.
guy's still running for his life, probably in the pond to this day.
And when night falls, they swim to their little island and go to sleep. Look at their little silhouettes in the night sky.
I think Quack is at the end.
I think
Quack's
so.
running for his life.
They did name them all in alphabetical order, didn't they? Very good.
I named this guy Quack.
Yeah, you did.
Isn't that amazing?
Well, thank you guys for joining us to read this wonderful story. Would you like to close us out?
I think Quack has something to say.
Maybe. Hold on one moment. Let Quack get ready to perform for you guys.
Well, hey guys, I have something to tell you. I think you should like, subscribe, and hit that bell. Also, if you want to follow these humans on Instagram, their channel's name is their account is Mirabella_TV, and I think you should buy their merch, like a lot. It's really cool. And come and buy me if you want to in the Peabody Hotel in Memphis. Anyways, I'm getting off track. And become a member. The link is down below. Trust me, you should get it, or I'm gonna come to your house. I'm joking. Anyways, that's all I gotta say. Whee! I have something to say. No, wait. No, you don't have anything to say. I do. Yes, I do. No, don't mind him. He's really crabby today.
Thanks for joining us. Bye.
Bye. Okay. Wait, no. This. Okay, they don't know, but I kidnapped the camera. This is gonna be really cool, okay? So, I had my own personal experience with me when I was a duckling. It kind of gave me side effects from it, but I was on the middle of the road, the highway, let's call it, and well, let's say I almost got hit by a car, but some people saved me. The weird humans saved me. I don't know what they were. These weird things, but they saved me, and I'm happy that I didn't get killed. I was stuck there with all my brothers and sisters while my mom was in the woods screaming for us to come, but we couldn't because there was this weird 5-inch curb in front of us. It was so strange. And Quack, did you steal the camera again? No. Give it back!